birth month last year served as a mental awareness, Pam, where are you at kind of situation. And so I did some things to show a bit of my personality. So if you saw any of that, I hope that it gave you an insight into, my personality, some of the places I struggle, and that it will grant me some grace, right? Sometimes when I act out. Okay. So I want to tell you who I am and why I do what I do. I want to give you a little bit of my background again. So I am the youngest of three children. I was raised by a single mom. My sister is 6 years older than me, and my brother is four. Now, I'm calling this one Love Hate of the States. Okay. And if you don't know, I live in the state of Alabama. Now, I was born in Boston, of course. And so every summer we came down and spent the summer, with our grandparents. Now, I'm just going to be honest. It's not about necessarily the time spent with family, because that was always great, right? But I just wasn't impressed by the state of Alabama. It was always too hot. We only had like box fans back in the day. I mean, because this was like, way, way back in the day. And, as the girls, we had to help grandma cook and all of the things like that. Of course, the boys could do whatever they wanted to, right? So I'm going to just tell you again, I was not impressed. And when it was time to go home after the summer break, I was ecstatic, okay? And so my mom decided that she was ready to come home because she was born here. My mom left Alabama at 21 in order to find work. Of course, she met my dad when she got to Boston. And so she was ready in, 86 and before to come back home. Now, she had had some life experiences, some of them traumatic while she was up there. And for her, coming home was what she felt like she needed to do. Now, of course, this altered my life tremendously, right? When the transition happened, I was 15 years old and I was in tears. And so when we made the move, I mean, I just felt so, unseen and unheard. And a little bit disrespected because my father allowed my father allowed my brother to stay, up north. Of course, my brother was older than me and he had a year or two or so to go, before he graduated. And I'm not necessarily saying I wanted to stay with my father, but I guess just the fact of maybe you asking if that maybe could have been, an option for me, but that option wasn't even there. And I'm pretty sure that my mom wasn't going to leave me up there anyway. And at 15, I was my mom's, shadow. I mean, I've always been my mom's shadow. I've always loved her company, always wanted to be around her. She was my sense of protection. She was how I viewed the world. And you know what? A lot of what I'm going to be focusing in on is about parenting and what it looks like. And, as a single mother, because that's generally where my heart is, and how we have an extremely tough job because we have to be both the parents, especially like if in my case, your dad, wasn't present or your child's father wasn't present. It just creates this hole in your heart and and whether you can trust yourself with other people. Maybe that's just me, but I think if that has been your case in your situation, that you probably feel a little bit of that. And so I hope that in my content and what I present in the world, that I am a force to be reckoned with, in the fact of I will always provide encouragement and inspire people, mothers, like I said, especially, to see your value, to know your worth, to understand that, you know what, things happen to you. It doesn't mean that's who you are, that you can overcome just about anything that you set your mind to. I'm not ever going to say it's easy, right? But you can find those things in life that will keep your foundation a little bit more stable. Okay, so I'm going to share with you some of the things that made, being in the state of Alabama more tolerable for me. Now, if you don't know my story, a part of it, I lost my mom in 97. Now, that was a big, huge blow to me, because in my mind, my mom was the only person in the world that truly loved me. And I was so mad at God, because I could not understand why he would take the one person away from me who ultimately loved me the most. Now, of course, as I traveled through this life, and as I started at 30, because there's an age in your life that you'll get to where you stop blaming your parents. Okay? So 30 was my number. And it was also a transition into finding that relationship with God that I did not have. Because remember, I was mad at God for taking my mom. So at 30, there was just so much going on in my life. I had walked through depression, or was going through it. I was a single mother trying to work and provide, and still mourning my mom at the same time. And so hence that door to having a relationship with God opened, right? Because ultimately, I think I knew to believe in God, but I didn't have the relationship that established my foundation, that enabled me to understand that I was not being punished through life, but that things just happened, and life just happened, because I went through life thinking I was just being punished, until I started my walk with God, who helped me understand early on that this walk with him was not going to be about me, that he loved me unconditionally, and that if I trust him, I mean that childlike faith, if I put all my trust in him, he will provide, and he will show up for me, and he would be my best friend. And like we know that the word says, he never leaves nor forsakes. So that is one of the things that I have to say that I love about the state of Alabama. And if you have never been to Alabama, there is no place that I mean literally that you can't no, to me, no matter what county or city, or where you are in the state of Alabama, because they call it the Bible Belt, that you can't find a church home. And so, backtracking a little bit, my relationship with God started in the fact of, like I was telling you, I was going through depression, and I just happened upon a Christian counselor. Now, it wasn't happened upon, I shouldn't say it like that, because we already know that God has a timing, he has a plan in place. And those that he loves, he draws, right? Sometimes you have to get totally outside yourself, and just totally let all guards down in order to find that place, that situation where you can hear the voice of God. And so I just happened upon the Christian counselor, and who understood, my daddy issue, who actually validated that was the greatest loss, one of the greatest loss, not having my father acknowledge me and be the apple of my daddy's eye, his little princess. And so what he encouraged me to do was find a church home. So there hence began my search. And let me tell you, I went to different churches, and I had conversations with friends and people I knew. But ultimately, having a conversation in a relationship with the lady that did my hair and who I call my spiritual mother is how I really got my foundation set. I mean, I've had a lot of great Christian friends, who were older than me, that could pour into me, who would listen to me, even though I was one of those rebellious listeners and lovers of God. You know, I was always the devil's advocate, kind of, you could say. But God put them in place in my life to have the patience to walk me through, because he knew how important it was to have a relationship with me. And so if I had not been in the state of Alabama, I can't necessarily say that I would not have this relationship with God, but it probably would have been pushed back, and there probably would have been a lot more noise in order for me not to hear, right? And even still with my, if my mom had still been alive, she would have been, excuse me, for lack of a better way of putting this, my God, right? And so in those moments and in those situations of life and having to walk through depression and trying to understand the loss of my mom, God stepped in. And he also became that father that I did not have. And here's another thing. God has really been awesome to me. Even before I acknowledged him in my life, he provided a lot of male figures in my life who stood in the gap as that, I think I'm using the right word, pseudo dad for me. And so I've been very blessed to that end. I had a lot of older men who did not want anything other than to just be that place that my bio dad did not feel. Okay, so point number 2, the love of the state, right? So this is my daughter's home. I mean, she was born here. And without me being here, I would not have my sweet mama. And if you don't know, sweet mama is my daughter, Tequila. I would not have her if I had not come to Alabama. Would not have met her dad. Would not have been in the places and the situations that I was in order to get it set up where, you know, she would be born. Now, he wasn't a part of, he has not been in her life. So, but he allowed me to be a mother and not interfere. So as much as I would have wanted him to be in her life like that, and even I thought that, you know, us getting married would change that, because when she was 7, we got married. I'm thinking, okay, that I could facilitate that relationship, but really it was all about me for him. I'm not saying that he didn't love his daughter. He loved her in the way that he knew how to love her, but it just didn't work out for us. But he has allowed me, and not in an interfering way, not in any harmful way, to raise her, to be that stability. Because, you know, in the beginning I told him, if you're not going to be a part of her every day, then you will stay out. Now, I know that a lot of mothers want that father in their child's life, and I'm not saying I didn't want that, because I did, but it has to be healthy. It has to benefit the child. It can't be about the parents, whether you're trying to love on each other or whether you're constantly at odds. You have to be able to understand, and when you have a child, it becomes about the child, right? And so for me, I was strong enough and able enough to get out here and work and take care and do what I needed to for her. And when I say I did it, I did it. Because there was no child support. There was none of that kind of thing. And so, I mean, you do what you need to as it relates to child support and those kinds of things. And I pray that you can get it. But if you can't, don't let that be an excuse for you not to do what you need to do as a woman. That's all I'm saying, okay? And the third thing, my unwillingness to throw myself into the unknown. There is a lot that when you don't know and there's nobody to teach you, you've got to be able to figure it out. Being here has taught me a lot about throwing myself into the unknown, taking the risks. Now, I did it in the beginning, like screaming and kicking and mad at the world. But once I figured out that God having my back and having a daughter to raise, well, I had to just willingly throw myself into the unknown. And a lot of times, in order to get to a place in life, you may not start knowing that you need to get to that place. But as you walk through life, and as you have experiences, and as you're raising your children, and as you're trying to live a life and create this place you see in your head and in your heart to help the world, to be a part of the conversation, to have a seat at the table, you have to learn how to take the risk and walk in unknown places and be okay, because why? You know who you are. You know what you carry. You know who you are when you walk into a room. And a lot of times for me, I'm the only black person in the room. But I'm not intimidated by that. Why? Because I know me. And I want to encourage you to know who you are, what you bring, and what you're trying to express. It's time out for playing games and being angry, because we have a lot that's going on in the world that we could be angry about. And there's a lot of, unjust things that are happening. But that does not mean that you stop being who God sees you and how you want to show up in the world. Okay? Now, there have been some experiences with, like I told you, uncertainty, with loss, and now a little bit I'm going to talk to you about conformity. I have noticed that being here, there's a lot of cliquishness that goes on. And if you weren't really born here, if you don't know all of the players and all the places and all the things, you're kind of on the outside. But for me, I was strong enough to stand in that place. And even still today, I don't need all of the camaraderie in order to facilitate my own future. I don't know how else to say that, and I don't want to seem like I'm not about family and friends, because I am. But even in being about family and friends, there will come a point in your life where you will have to step outside of that in order to get to where you are. And if you're not strong enough, because you got to take somebody with you, you might not have the life that you dream about. And for me, it's not it's not worth it not to have the life that I dream about. I mean, I've had to take a lot of risks, and I've been put in a lot of positions that weren't favorable. But you know what? I learned from every single experience, and I want to encourage you to do the same. So that brings me to what I needed to survive. And as I mentioned before, you have to have a strong sense of purpose, a desire to allow your heart to stay open, and the ability to forgive every single day. Those are 3 things. Remember this: strong sense of purpose, a desire to allow your heart to stay open, and an ability to forgive every single day. That is just absolutely necessary, right? Now, here are some 3 teachable lessons. It really does not matter where you go, because why? There you are. Don't think that, okay, I'm going to change, the scenery. I'm going to start anew, you know what I'm saying? And everything is going to be great. You're still you. You've got to fix what goes on here and what rests here. That way you can leave one state and go to another and still find yourself okay. I mean, I didn't like being down here, and I'm going to still say I'm not the biggest fan of Alabama, but I have found the ability to stand in my own right. I have found the ability to find purpose and understand God's plan for my life, because every place that I thought I should go and be, that wasn't God's plan. right? And so I learned how to adapt. And I learned how to make the situation that I currently find myself work. That might mean getting outside your comfort zone, okay? This is a big, huge key one. Nobody owes you anything. And if you're looking for people to give you a handout, or expecting somebody to show up for you, or to always be patting you on the back or validating you for whatever reason, no. You got to be able to do that for yourself, right? And you must figure out a way to overcome. That's just simple. You've got to figure out a way to overcome. I can't tell you what that is for you. I can encourage you to do that, and I can inspire you to do that by showing you how I'm doing it. But for you, you've got to find a way to have a strong sense of purpose, a strong plan of action, a strategy to get you over the hard times, and to make sure your foundation stays intact, that your integrity holds on, because those are the things that people will truly value you for, and they will judge you on. Now, I forgot to get my little oil called Envision. But Envision is an oil of choice and re-innovation. It helps you to refocus, and it stimulates the creative and intuitive abilities to achieve your dream and goals. I will definitely put a picture of Envision at the end of this video. Now, this is how and why I share my life experiences and try to turn things into masterclasses of the revitalization for the forgotten dreamer. Purpose to change the world, or at least a section of it anyway. And I'm going to tell you that, I want to connect with you. I want you to have your own bottle of Envision, right? So in order to get your bottle of Envision, I am going to have you send me an email to Mathis, that's PMATHIS, at pewpartners.com, with the subject line Envision. And your girl will help you get started and have a conversation with you about, what essential oils are, why I use them. Because I want you to be able to understand that, in life, we have to make choices, right? And using oils and the educating of oils is a part of the love-hate for the state, right? Because if I had not come to the state of Alabama, I might not even know about oils, right? Or I might know about oils, but would not have gotten connected with the right people to have that conversation with, and the right company to be a part of. All things work together, right, for the good of the one who loves us. I can't tell you all of my experiences. I can't even tell you I understand every bit of it. But what I can tell you is that all things work together. The coming down here, the not loving it, the loss of a mom, the conformity that you see, and not wanting to be a part of that. The ability to have a strong sense of purpose, which I think I came out of the womb with. The loss, of a father who chose not to be there. And that watching that cycle continue within my own daughter, and then having to realize what all of that meant. That's the journey. That's no matter where you are, whether you're in the state of Alabama, in Boston, or where, your girl's born there. Whether you're in Kentucky or Tennessee, it doesn't really matter. Where you find yourself, you need to find the ability to find out who you are, what purpose that you're serving there in the moment, and as the future goes on. So, guys, I hope that this has been beneficial for you, and if it has, remember to subscribe, like, and share. Also, join your girl on her social media. You know, of course, this will be on YouTube, so you know I'm on YouTube, but you know I'm also on Facebook under Pamela P. M. Mathis. I'm on Instagram under Pamela P. M. Mathis. And I'm also on Pinterest, which, you know, YouTube and Pinterest is going to be my focus. We're going to try to learn how to do those things, all right? But you can always find me under Pamela P. M. Mathis or Pamela Mathis, Pamela Michelle Mathis, Pew Partners. Look your girl up on Google. Google me and follow me is what I like to tell people. But if this has been beneficial to you as well, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when your girl shows up again. So guys, I want you to remember this. I love you and I live to serve you. And I want you to be blessed. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hey guys, it's PM Mathis, and today I wanted to talk to you about my book, Ordinary Princess. Now, Ordinary Princess is for anyone who has ever felt invisible, undervalued, or taken for granted. Yet you find yourself never able to give up, and you refuse to find yourself defeated. Yet and still, you need to be encouraged to keep going by someone who understands what it takes to find motivation in the mundane as you push through towards your purpose. My book, Ordinary Princess, is a show and tell piece of how to live a life when you have a need to see what you seek played out in live action fashion, where you can get the full picture of how to apply the life skills necessary to master this thing called mastermind class that is all the rage now. Because you must believe in your own flavor of Kool-Aid to do this ordinary princess thing as a lifestyle. So get your copy of my version of Mastermind Class. It's called Ordinary Princess, by the way. Now you can find Ordinary Princess at www.lulu.com, that's Lulu, /spotlight /P Cohen, that's PCOHEN, also on Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and Amazon. Thank you.